Okay.
You could start actually talking now.
Okay, so I'll start talking, and I'm going to do a little intro here, and then I will introduce my guest. Are we live yet? We're live. Okay. So this is a very special Live with Joan because it's later in the day and we have a very special guest, Sarah McCrum, and I'll talk about her in a moment. First, I wanted to just welcome everybody. And if you've finally gotten to catch a live, I'm glad you're here. Normally we do it in the morning on Tuesdays. And anyway, my name is Joan. I'm an animal communicator, author, healer, TEDx speaker, and founder of Communication with All Life University. And we're a school to help people become animal communicators, healers, and work with nature and wildlife. And who knows, maybe we'll have to talk to money after this too. But anyway, we're basically really all about energy. And that's one thing that I love about Sarah McCrum's work and her book, Love Money. Oops, I had it marked. Love Money. Money Loves You, because it really talks about the energy of money, and I marked it here at a specific point. And so anyway, welcome Sarah, all the way from Australia.
Thank you very much, Joan. I'm really looking forward to seeing what emerges. It's such a beautiful combination with talking with money and talking with animals.
Exactly. Yeah, I love the combination, because you know what, animals don't even know about money, so we get to um, really then it comes down to energy. So it's and that's what I love. And animals wouldn't sit and define energy either. But first, what I'd love to do is find out have you tell people what your background is and how you came to talk to money.
Well, I'd love to tell a story which a few people may have heard here before because you did interview me once before, but I think
With
it's
my
worth
students.
telling the same story even so, because it helps to make sense of everything else. So I actually spent 22 years training with Chinese masters, so that was all about energy for all day, every day, talking and thinking about energy, and that's why my work is so steeped in energy. But towards the end of that, after probably about 20 years of that training, I had a very unusual experience for me at that time, which was that I'd just gone out of business. So I'd had a business failure, and so I had no money, and it was a very hard time for me financially. And I was given a little book that had exercises in it. And one of the exercises said, "What would money like to say to you?" It was a book called How to Become a Money Magnet. And so I never thought about money saying anything to me. It had never occurred to me that money could talk or would have any opinions about anything. But anyway, I kind of sat down and wrote I just started to write, and I had the experience literally that my pen started writing for me. And I wrote 2 pages of notes without stopping and without crossing out. And it was literally a message from money. It was like money was speaking to me just in the way that I think you probably experience animals communicating with you. And the first thing it said to me was, "I would like to tell you to love me." And it then went on and it said, "I'm energy and I'm beautiful and I'm here to support all human beings. I help you, I connect you together in your creativity." And it also said, "You're way too afraid of me. I'm not the devil. I never have been. And I'm here for you. It's like, just take me. I'm here." And it ended with the words, "I will love you." So that was really how I got started in this. And then I did that every day because I thought, well, that was a really cool experience. And it touched me very deeply to read this message about money because it was so different from what I had believed before. And then I did it every day for a few months. And that's what turned into the book. The book is just pure, totally unedited messages from money to us. So to me, to you, to anybody who actually ever comes across that book. And it tells us what money really is, how it works, how we can work with it, how we can connect with it in a way that feels good and is actually effective at the same time.
One of the reasons I've told you this before, and if people hear this again, bear with me, that one of the reasons I was so drawn to your book was I had, I think in the year 2000, I went to a workshop where someone said, okay, and now you're going to talk to money. And I had something similar where it's like it came through. It's like, I love you. You, I think I asked, why do you forget me? It's like, why do I forget you? You forget me. And it said, then you come running back like, oh, where have you been? And the one thing Money said is that I should always say, Money, sweetheart, I love you. And so when I saw the title of your book, I was like, Love Money, Money Loves You. I have to have that book right now because I know this, right? But
Yeah.
I forget, just like Money said in the year 2000. So now I have not forgotten, and things have changed dramatically.
Yes, I mean, that's such a good story because it really is like that. We ignore it, we forget it, we think that it's not working. And it's just like a partner. Like if you ignore your partner, forget that they exist, or constantly accuse them of not being there for you, guess what happens? It doesn't feel like a great relationship. So I think that it's actually very, very important to recognize that money is energy, therefore it's alive. And it functions, it does things. It's an energy, it's not a kind of floating cloud in the sky. It's an energy that responds very directly to us. And once we start to realize that, it just makes it a whole lot easier to find a good way of connecting with it.
And I think probably one of the most startling things for me since I read the book and then I wanted you to talk to my school and then I wanted to work with you is that if I'm completely showing up in this relationship, money completely shows back up. I mean,
Yep.
it's astounding. And
Yes.
it sounds so stupid because it's sort of like duh, but um, but it is amazing. And it used to be, for me, it used to be this like, I've got to work hard. And it's like, no, I need to show up for money in this other way. And I'll have you tell some of that. Um, and if you could encapsulate a couple of the things that you think money would want us to know, what do you think that would be, other than not to
I
be
think the
afraid?
very first thing it wants us to know is that we can relax about money, that it really is always available, even if it doesn't appear to be. It always is. There's always a way, and that way opens up when we're relaxed about it. So what it actually describes when we're tense, it's like being a rock and you pour water over the rock. No, it talks about being an icicle. That's right. And you pour water over the icicle, and it just kind of just the water goes off or maybe freezes a little bit. And then it talks about if you're relaxed, you're like a sponge and you pour water into it and you just soak the water up. So money is the water, and when we're tense, we're like the icicle. We just nothing can get in. And when we're relaxed, we're like a sponge. It's like, yeah, thank you. And you might say, oh, I'm really relaxed, but money doesn't show up for me. But I think what Joan said is right, that when it's not showing up, we need to look at where we're not showing up. And so it becomes a beautiful indicator to us of where we're somehow absent in our life, or not taking responsibility, or not being really alive. That's what I found, is that engaging with money made me more alive, responsible in a true way. Like, this is my life and I choose how to live it. And money is a very good indicator to me of where I've got switched off. And when I switch on, things work better again.
And switching on, I mean, and there's times now where there are still little gaps, but it's such a different way of reconnecting with it, and like relaxing in the gap, and not being afraid. Like, that's, I think the biggest thing is that when we all of a sudden don't have it, we get graspy and grabby. And anybody that works with animals knows that if you do that to a horse, it's going to be like, see ya, bye
Yeah,
bye. Or
exactly.
on a
Exactly.
dolphin trip, getting into the water, I'm so excited to see dolphins. And they're like, boom, out of
Oh,
here.
Joan, I'm so happy to hear you say that because I teach all my clients, don't get excited about it. Like, if you get excited about, I've just signed up a new client, amazing, amazing, very often they don't even pay because that something happens in your energy, you disperse all the energy in that moment, and that client disappears even when they've said yes. So many of us have had that experience. I teach people to be calm and approach money just, I would say we're probably like twins in the way that we're teaching that, because
Absolutely.
that's how the energy works, and money is energy and animals are energy.
And for an animal to see excitement here might be fun for a minute, but it can turn into fear and nervousness, and it can turn so much so
Yeah.
quickly.
Just like with
And
kids, actually, kids are the
yeah,
same. When I see people exciting kids, I can already see the tears that are going to come later.
yeah, I was that person with kids. Like, oh, my cousins, wee, bye-bye. But but it's okay. I didn't
Yeah.
breathe this lifetime for a reason. But anyway, um, what other emotions do you think come in? And we are totally twins that way because, first of all, for animal communication, energy healing, we spend half the year. I mean, I feel like I spend the whole almost year and a half with everybody just getting them to neutral and
Yeah.
to finding such a deep neutral that it can't be, a bus could go by and you're not going to come out of that neutral. And then
Absolutely.
that's just even if you're doing remote work, if you're working with animals, you drop into that sense and are that always with animals.
Yeah.
So,
That's so similar to what I'm teaching and training with money. That's really interesting, probably just coming from a slightly different angle. So, another emotion, very simple and very appealing, I think, that money talks about a lot during the book is enjoyment. At one point, it actually says, I don't understand why you human beings can't get this. I'm talking about enjoyment. It's, work and making money is about enjoyment. It's not about suffering. It's not about working hard. So, one of the things that I developed as a result of writing the book was this um, practice of working light, which is actually a way of relaxing at the beginning of the day, which means that throughout the day you have energy, things go really smoothly, people help you more than they normally do, things drop off your to-do list if you're really busy, they kind of they get done in other ways, and you have energy in the evening and the weekends as well. And for so many people that's an issue. So I think enjoyment is way more important than we have realized. And simple things, simply enjoying what you're doing, giving yourself permission to do things you enjoy. It's both ways round. Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do, but enjoy it and give yourself permission to do what makes you happy. And that combination together is really powerful with money. It's very attractive for money to come in.
just on Sunday, I spoke at my friend's enlightened um, tapping meditate. I forget what it was. It was a big conference, and I was a speaker. But right before me was, do you know Andrew Harvey?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was the speaker before me, and the one thing he talked about was he spends an hour a day in joy. That he just plays with his cats for an hour, and I mean, you know that I struggle with. I've got to my little stupid Catholic guilt. Like I've got to ride my horses, but I need to work, and that's like,
yeah.
you know, I'm getting back down to
I
the
know.
horses.
You're getting better.
Yeah, I am getting better, but that's part of my joy. And I found, that the more I connect to my joy, and I love that Andrew Harvey's talking about that because he was speaking to it in terms of like somebody asked him about like the dark forces in the world. And he's like, look at the world could be burning down. I'm going to have my joy for this hour. I'll deal with it later. And it's true, right? Like the finding being in that space of
Just
having.
imagine if all human beings just did that, what difference would it make in today's world? It's hard to imagine because the power of being stuck in fear and worry and seriousness is just that power of locking out all the good things that want to come in. That's what we do. And when we allow ourselves to open up, it's really interesting. It doesn't take a lot of opening up for something to slip through. So the more we give ourselves permission to be that enjoy and enjoy both,
Yeah,
then the more goodness slips into our experience, and
yeah. If
goodness feels
everybody
good.
took time to be enjoy, the frequency of the planet would
Yeah.
just like raise right up. Yeah. So yeah, so instead of like, how hard did you work? Oh, awesome. It should be like, how much joy did you have? Wow.
Yeah. And the other thing, if you want another one, it's love. Really, I always say relax, enjoy, love. That's my little mantra. Love, love money, love yourself. That's easy, so easy to say love yourself, so hard to do, I know, but it still actually works. Love your life, also easy to say, not always easy to do, but it works. And even loving a little bit, loving tiny little bits of it, make a difference. Anything that you can love softens you and makes you more open again to goodness coming in, and money is part of the goodness that can come in, so it all links together.
Yeah. And I would say with what I tell people with on wildlife trips is having really heartfelt gratitude. Like the animals feel that appreciation, and
Yeah,
that's magnetic versus that, like, oh my God, I'm so excited to see them.
yeah, totally. Appreciation and gratitude are they're slightly different. Some people find it easier to appreciate because you can appreciate things even when you haven't got your big result. Sometimes when people are looking for money and they feel so much like, oh, it hasn't happened yet, it hasn't happened yet, but you can still appreciate all the things that are happening.
Yeah.
And that makes you much more open to the next thing happening and the next thing. And usually those big results follow from lots and lots and lots and lots of small results. So it's actually counting the little things, appreciating the little tiny things that happen every single day. That's what creates an environment inside you where you can actually attract a bigger result.
It's like an appreciation garden that you just keep watering.
Yes, yes. There's no end to that one.
Yeah. You know what? So I wanted to say, wanted to show people, share a little bit action required for making money. You talk about there's a lot of conflicting advice about the action, and then you say your business people are very action oriented but easily exhaust themselves. At other extremes are more spiritual people who want to make money through believing and manifesting and in trying incredibly hard but are getting almost nowhere. And it's the lucky ones we need to look at, the ones who know what they want and find it comes easily to them without having to fight or work too hard or get stressed. What is it that those lucky people have, and how can you expand on that? And then you say they're simple. And it's more than, it's more, but it's just that they don't let all that stuff get in the way, right? And
Yeah.
maybe you could tell us more, because I'm always, and the third key point is their appreciation. So
Yes.
next they are what they are called. They're simple, they're happy-go-lucky, and their appreciation. Um, but I just think that's funny because, not funny, haha, but just interesting because I think that it is the people that like either work too hard or they spirit too hard and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, and then,
Yeah.
but there's something right in the middle. Like my brother goes in and out of, has gone in and out of big money, and he's a snowboarder. And when he's just flying down the mountain, he was really famous at one point, and but he still comes into fame just when he, or comes into money and opportunity just when he's like, oh yeah, dude, we did this, and he just tells a few stories, and then suddenly he's got a podcast, right? But it's that, yeah, and then there's other times where his little Virgo mind starts beating the crap out of things, going, I don't know, he plays mind games, and there's no money. But he's like my perfect example of being lucky and happy-go-lucky. You can still be deep. It's not something shallow. It's
Yeah, it's actually interesting because for me, I grew up relatively serious. And my mum used to say I was too intense, so that kind of connects with the seriousness. And being British, we don't actually have much ease with enjoyment. I've really discovered that about British people. Enjoyment isn't even really on the menu for most of us. It's not even consider to be that attractive. And when you start to experience it, we often shy away from it. Like,
Yeah, I've had two British boyfriends. I know.
you know all
Oh
about
yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
The thing that really surprised me, and it's funny you read that bit. I haven't seen that bit for a while. It's nice to be reminded of it. Is that what I found works best for me, specifically in relation to money, is so ridiculously simple and happy-go-lucky that I can hardly believe it. So, for example, a few years ago, I moved into a house that I was renting, and it was quite considerably more expensive than I'd been paying before. It was a really beautiful place with an incredible view, and I loved it. And it was a bit of a risk. And the very first weekend, ironically, I was running a retreat, and I suddenly realized that I was actually very short of money. And I thought, I haven't got time to do anything about this. And I just said to money, please pay this bill for me. Like, just like that. And 15 minutes later, somebody had paid me double what she was planning to pay me originally for something days earlier than she was supposed to pay me. And then something else came in at the same time. And that was a real kind of, it was like a kind of point in my development where I recognized a thing that I'd been doing a lot already is just asking for something to be done so naively and so simply and so like, please just do this. I really don't have time to deal with it for myself, kind of thing. But just like throwing it out there, and it happened so quickly, I couldn't believe it. And I've noticed that for me, that's how it works. So the opposite of my character almost is if I can be really light and really like the opposite of hard work, but very, very clear. I must be clear what I want. I must be clear what I'm asking for. It's quite remarkable how it works. Sometimes it's a little bit scary almost, and I think this is a problem that many of us have in this space, is that we realize how powerful these kinds of things are that we're talking about. And I'm sure you have the same with animals sometimes. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow, I'm not even sure that I'm ready for that. But I think we need to learn how to embrace it and share it because it's such a good thing. And so that's what I do through my work, in fact, is I just share everything that I learn because it makes so much difference to people.
I feel a workshop coming on where we talk about money and then we go out into a corral with horses. Anyway, um,
We'll have to
it's,
open up some borders to be able to do that, or maybe I'll be online.
yeah, or you can come visit because I
I'd
do not,
love to. I'm
I
not
have
allowed
to,
out of my country at the moment, but I
oh,
will
right.
definitely come and visit when I can.
Yeah. But the thing that what you're saying, so for people that let's say, like even Claudia who's here has a dog that has big energy and she has to bring her energy down because it's like that's almost like that thing that's too big to dream about, and yet
Yeah,
you want it, you want to step into that, so it's like
yeah,
it's grounding, but it's
yeah.
also having like vision. It's so I hope all the animal people on here are starting to connect this, right? Like there's that big thing you want. It's, maybe it's a horse with too much energy or a dog with too much energy or a cat that's pretty feral. What is your energy going to be to approach it? And because you want it. And so the first step is desiring it, but at the same time, not needing it or pushing it away, right?
And you probably find something similar because it's so fascinating listening to your language and the connections. I talk a lot about grounding because money is such a grounding thing. You can say, I want money. You can say, I believe in money. You can say, I can feel money raining down in my meditation. But if it's not in your bank account, it's not real yet. And it's not going to count for much until it gets all the way into your bank account. And so I find that the groundedness of it, it's a beautiful it's a beautiful partner in a way, like an animal. Like if that animal is afraid and doesn't come close to you, it doesn't matter what you can do in your meditation with animals, your energy's not there yet. And
Absolutely.
sometimes it can take time. For some of us, it takes time to learn how to get into that neutral place. Some people do it more easily, but everyone can do it if you're willing to just put in the time and the practice and whatever it takes for you to get there. So I think there's a lot of similarity in that way as well.
Yeah, because animals are grounded, or if they're not, it's our job to help them ground. And
Yeah,
therefore we have to come to it super grounded. And part of
yeah,
what, I'm not an animal communicator that's going to wear a turban and like open up my crown chakra. I'm going to put my feet on the ground and help that animal feel safe, because that's the only thing it really needs in that moment. And if I'm not safe, it's not safe. And if I'm not grounded, I'm not safe.
yeah, absolutely.
Uh, so, what is a simple request to money?
Well, I gave you one example was please pay this bill for me. um, it is literally. I do things like each month, because I run a business, I do look at, first of all, I always look at the expenses that I know that I've got. And I look at how much income I would like to bring in that month. And I do it in advance of the month. So when I write that down, what I want, that's actually a request. Um, but in that request for a certain amount of income, there are many, many small, simple requests that I make. So yesterday I sat in a couple of meetings, and they're really significant meetings. So my request within that meeting is for a particular kind of outcome or something better. My requests always include the words or something better. And so I open to that very good outcome in the meeting. So every day we have multiple requests, just things that we want, something that my soul or my heart desires to happen. It might be a new connection, it might be something to shift in my relationship because it's feeling a bit uncomfortable at the moment. It might be something to do with my health. It might be all the little things that go up to make a quality experience of life. All of that is a request, is a wish. It's just something you really want.
So I'm sure that it would be fun to know, Claudia, if people would raise their hands if they feel like they make requests. And then I'd love to know if they're like me and they really confuse money. Because one minute I'm like, I only need this amount. But wait, if I had this amount,
Yeah,
oh no, I forgot about this. Wait, I really want, And then later on, I'm picking up horse poop and I'm sitting there going, yeah, if I had $10 million, here's what I would do. And so
yeah,
is money picking up all of that?
yeah. All of it, every bit of it, and its job is to deliver on everything, but it actually has to interpret your requests. So we do give it a very difficult job, and one of the most difficult jobs is we say things like, "Oh, I really want $10 million, but I'm never going to get that because that doesn't happen to people like me." So it receives the request, Joan wants $10 million. And then it has to put this kind of bracket underneath it. Okay, but she's in the category of that's not going to happen to me because things like that don't happen to me. So we'll put it on the delayed shelf, so to speak. You can imagine it like an old ledger system. And it will sit there literally until you open up to being that person who can receive it. Sometimes our thoughts even cancel requests. So we say things like, I'd love to, I think of my sister who's a horse person. I'd love this bit of equipment for my horse, but I can't afford it. Boom.
Oh
It's
my
like,
God. That's the story of my life. I mean, my old life, right? I'm
yeah,
getting out of that. And I'm
yeah,
also getting out of the whole, I would regularly, I might not even get to the I can't afford it. Like, oh, I better not, I don't know how much that
better not
costs.
go there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
So I just want to say, if you would love that bit of equipment, it's really important to share this. If that's you and you say, but I can't afford it, all you do instead is you say, I'd love that bit of equipment for my horse or for my whatever. And you leave it. You just zip your mouth after that. Don't say and don't think I can't afford it. Just because you can't afford it now, today, it doesn't mean that you won't be able to afford it tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, at some point. But if you say, I'd love it, but I can't afford it, you cancel the wish that you have for it, literally. So it's very, very important to understand the difference.
one thing, do you think there's a way? Because I'm imagining I'm on 10,000 delayed shelves. Is there a way? How do we collapse those delayed shelves? I want out. I'm feeling trapped.
What I what I tend to recommend with that is just don't try to do it all in one go, because sometimes people say, "Can I cancel all the requests I've made in the past and start again?" And I just like, please don't do that. Some of those were to be healthy, were to be all kinds of things that have
Right.
actually already happened, and you want to keep them. So what I suggest is that one thing is whenever you make a request, always say or something better, because that simply gives permission to the energy of money, to life, to give you what you can't imagine yet. And that might include quite a lot of those things that are on the shelf. So that's what I found is lots of my wishes from 20 years ago are now being fulfilled because I'm opening up. I didn't cancel them, although I thought that they would never happen now. I thought it was too late, that won't happen, I've moved on. Seems like I haven't, and they're all coming in just like a slightly different form. But if you do feel that you've made some really stupid requests, things that you genuinely don't want anymore.
Yeah, I don't want every one of those stupid boyfriends.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll just have a little conversation with money saying, look, I want one good boyfriend and please let's just cancel all
Yeah,
the rest.
right.
Just like you talk to an animal, is just the same way. Just ask for it.
But what you're saying, though, is the most important thing you're saying here is that opening up is what is going to bring the appropriate right wishes, if you will, that you've made in the past.
Well, it actually connects with what you mentioned just a little while back, which is the vision. So my understanding is that the energy that we receive, or a considerable part of the energy we receive, is related to our vision. So if my vision is of becoming this person, I receive the energy of that person, and I kind of go through the steps to become that person who then has $10 million, or lives here, or has all these horses, or whatever it is that you want. So the vision is very, very important for that, because it actually determines what you receive. So having a vision and then being open, so you receive the energy of that vision, then being willing to deal with the shit releasing part of it, because if you're becoming a new person, you're releasing the old person. Now, some of that comes out very nice and clean. You write a book with all your knowledge in it and you share it with people. Clean, beautiful shit turning into compost. But some of it is probably very old and rather toxic and comes out in much more uncomfortable forms, which I'm sure you know about with energy healing. All the detoxing, all the reactions, whether it's health stuff or emotional stuff or whatever it is. And also money. We have money releasing, which sometimes comes in the form of too many bills and debts and not managing our money very well. So you need to be able to handle and clean up your own shit as you go along towards your vision. If you can do those things, then you are going to, most of the things you wish for, you will actually experience this lifetime. If you have very big wishes and you can't open up that much this lifetime, I can't guarantee this, but my experience suggests that they get carried through to the next lifetime, which is a kind
I
of
love
interesting
that.
thought.
Yeah. So, Claudia, how many people confuse money?
Oh, well, first of all, Cindy Ann's like, I don't know how to raise my hand.
Okay, can you come closer so they can hear you?
Sorry, I'm monitoring it
Yeah.
there too. Cindy Ann says, I don't know how to raise my hand because there is no hand raising thing on Facebook. So I just told people to comment. Michelle Schreiber says, this is good. I have been confusing my requests. Jill Smith says, haha, I'm with you. The money confusion, Joan Ranquet, but thanks to you two, I'm going to change that relationship from now. Good. Maury Manning says, ask, believe, receive. Tanya Haffe says, I love this. Shannon says, yes, please. Octavia Fernandez says, thank you. I'm going to try to do the vision meditation and see what comes from it. Money, here it comes.
Cool. And I want to go, I spend every Sunday morning, and I've done this for a long time. And by the way, we've got the hawks flying around again. That's always my good luck.
Okay.
Red-tailed hawks, just like almost coming to the window, crazy. I feel like I have a wildlife TV here, so every now and then I'm like, wow, sorry. Um, and so uh, I've for a long time, as long as I can remember, I don't know, in the 90s, I spent Sunday mornings, in that time that I would have been at church like a good Catholic girl, just not, my church time is either being outside or being with my journal and having that big vision, and really some of my best stuff, like ideas for books or things like that, comes from that big vision. And
Yeah.
so and it's big, it's, otherwise, yeah, and
I
so
think that's the book and the message, everything that I've learned from writing that book really supports visionaries. Because so often when we have that big vision, we really don't know how to do it, and we don't honestly feel that adequate, especially people who have that ability to communicate at a subtle level. You can receive downloads of information about yourself and what you could contribute to the world that seems way beyond your capacity. And what I've found is that if you just kind of stick to the principles and keep going forward through all the difficulties, and there can be many if you have a big vision, little by little that vision actually starts to happen. And I'm seeing huge aspects of my vision suddenly happening this year, whereas I could look 6 months back and would not have been able to see any of that on the horizon. So I've learnt to be very steady, to stick by the principles, to trust money, to learn how to receive it, to be willing to develop myself and grow myself wherever I find myself, shrunk and
mhm.
limiting, and I have all kinds of very difficult edges around me, like we all do, but just to be willing. And it's quite remarkable that it's very clear that that energy of money, which is a kind of energy of manifestation, really supports visionaries, actually. If only we knew, or we do now, just how supportive and how powerful it is. I'm beginning to see things that are possible that I don't think I really dreamed that I would ever see.
I feel the same way. I feel like sometimes if I stay strong with the vision, I mean, even with my school, if I stay strong, Shannon, who's on here, was uh, was the Claudia when I started the school. Um, it is, uh, I had a vision and I just kept walking toward it, but it didn't, it, what, I'm not the person, I wasn't the person I am now. If I had been this now, it would have exploded open, and I probably would have, burnt it to the ground by accident. So I'm glad that I'm here now. Um, and because I feel like everything I really hold a steady vision for, I then find myself in real life walking into, and I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
and it means that you are ready. I mean, this is all about energy, and as things happen when you're ready for them, and some of the steps we need to go through aren't easy because we do need to let go of parts of ourselves that will not be able to manage that bigger vision. But if we know that the energy is coming in always of the vision of that person who can do it, then as you say, you keep walking forward, whatever it is, whether it's just learning how to communicate with animals, or it's creating a school for it, or it's creating a foundation to help animals all over the world, or whatever it is. I'm sure there's all of that and a lot more in your school and in people who want to join your school. All of that can happen if you stay on the path and keep walking in that direction, and then
Yeah.
learn the principles of communication, of life, of money. These are the things that support us in creating that vision.
Yeah. So true. What, you had, Claudia, was there something?
Yeah. So they figured out how to do the hand raise. Kaki Decker says, I confuse money, and she wants to know if this is in your book. It is.
Yes, she talks about
Yes.
confusing money. That's how I
It's all the
realized
way
that I,
through the book, how to ask, how to
oh my
make
God.
requests, how to ask for what you want, how to unconfuse it. It's all the way through, yeah.
And Kathy Marie Boyer, hi Kathy. She says, I'm loving your book. I'm about 1/3 of the way through.
Great.
And
Yeah.
Michelle Shriver says, even taking the money quiz on your website was helpful to start to gain clarity, Sarah. Look forward to learning from you. Learning more. I have the same experience. Taking the quiz made me realize, oh,
Yeah.
that's my score in that. Wow.
I'm glad to hear it's working.
Well, you are gonna do something special with us. We've got, you've got the course. Do we have the course?
The link is in the comments at the
Yeah.
towards the top. There's a link.
Do you want me to say a little bit about the course?
Absolutely.
Yes. So Joan asked me about a course for you to help you with your relationship with money. And so what we have, I have a course called Thank You Money. We talked about gratitude and appreciation. That's obvious in the title. And the whole course is a year long, but what we've put together is a special package for you, which is the first part of it, which is 4 months long. And it is specifically the part that's about transforming your relationship with money. And it's divided into 4 sections, 4 elements. They each last a month. So I'll just tell you very briefly what that's about. So the first one is about your relationship with money. It's about your beliefs and attitudes, how you connect with money. And it's about shifting that so more in line with the message that's in the book and allowing yourself to relax into that. So we do a lot of relaxation in the first month so that you can just relax with money. The second month we do Working Light, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. It's just simply an alternative to working hard. And you get more done, but you don't work as hard. So I like it. It's very simple. It makes some people super productive and it gives some people much more time. You can take it either way. The third month is all about energy. And it's about receiving and releasing energy. And really the principles of business are that you get an idea, you create something, you have a product, you make something, and you share it, you sell it. And from that selling, you get money, and so you get a circulation. So it's all about energy, actually. And if you can, what I think is that if you can communicate with animals, you can actually do business in a really similar way. That's what I've done. I've created my business based on the principles of my creativity, my writing, on all the things that I love, and energy. My whole business is based on the principles of energy. And then the fourth month, the fourth element is about asking for and receiving what you want. So it's a whole month on requests and on creating this inner environment that makes you very receptive to requests. And the other thing that we're doing, which is really special, I don't normally do this, is that I'm actually going to do a monthly Q&A session just for Joan's group. So I think that will be really cool because we can actually get into a different kind of depth of question because you have so much knowledge already that's very much connected with what I'm doing. And so that will be really fun. I'm also giving you a little course which is very cool because you can start it straight away. It's called Reset Your Relationship with Money. If you've done the scorecard, you'll see that I mentioned the Reset course at the end of the scorecard. And so that's actually packaged up with this. If you do Thank You Money with us, then you'll be given the Reset course. And you could start that literally today. And it's a reset for each of those topics. A reset in your money, like how you think about money, a reset for work, a reset for purpose, and very important, a reset for your financial organization. So yeah, that's what we've put together, and you're welcome to ask me any questions about the course. There are some other features. We have a very lively community. You can actually come and ask me questions every week in my community platform and stuff like that. But I think I've told you the most important things.
Yeah.
I put it in again.
Okay. And does anyone have any questions, comments, observations?
Just people saying how the money quiz was eye-opening.
The money quiz was eye-opening
for many of us.
I've got it. There's a couple of things I probably should tell you. So the main the course actually consists of some videos which have the content. But also, there are all these training audios. I call them activations. They're energy activations.
Oh my God, they are so good. I've been doing them.
Yeah?
I love them. I love
fantastic.
them. I do it either right before or after I meditate. So now when I wake up, it's an hour before I go down and feed horses. So I keep having to
Yes.
get up even earlier. Like now I'm waking up at like 5:30 so that I can feed at
You probably
6:30.
have more energy from doing them anyway.
I
If you,
do. And
yeah.
Claudia, do we get shit done? Like the days that Claudia works here, she only works here a couple days a week, and she's moving to Florida here soon. So
I just announced it.
oh, I just announced that she's moving to Florida. Anyway, oops.
It's official.
It's official. Anyway, but we feel this crunch, right? And we're just like boom, 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 boom. I mean,
Yeah,
That's
and
working light. That's
yep, and
working
I
light.
meditate and I do your activations. I meditate, do kind of do the scalar wave on myself every day. I either hike or jump rope, and then I come in and I'm just like
Yeah.
so focused.
So you get 20 activations every month on that course, which is like that's my gym for your consciousness basically. It's training your energy and your consciousness to become really flexible and strong and agile so that you can meet all the challenges that come from business, come from money, come from life really. So that's part of it. And the other thing I should mention is the price, which I didn't say. So the course, which is a 4-month course, is $750 and the payment plan is 4 monthly payments of $200. Just so you can be clear. And I think Claudia's put the link in the Facebook, so you can just sign up there very easily.
Yeah, it's so worth it. And I mean, the activations alone are worth the price of admission. But getting to have you on the phone, because you know what? You're like me. There are no more private sessions. So
Yeah,
that's, yeah,
exactly.
unbelievable. And then at some point, we've talked about what it would look like I know that you really are at the forefront of how money is going to be exchanged eventually and what that could look like for nonprofits because yeah. So
Yeah, that's early days, but we are developing, me and somebody else, we're developing new models based on the principles of the book that would enable. I've actually thought about animals actually and work with animals and how that could fit into the model that is being shaped here. But it would totally turn upside down the non-profit model into you get paid for the benefit that you provide. So as long as you're providing benefit, the money would flow automatically. No more begging, no more all of that, dinners and that kind of stuff. It would be a completely different model. If you're creating good in the world, either to the environment, so I think people who work with wildlife, it would be an environment focus. If you're improving the environment through the work you do, or if you're improving human well-being, and I think with domestic animals, we'll be able to say, having a horse or a dog improves human quality of life, it improves mental health, things like that. So if we can show that, we will then be able to bring money for the benefit that you're creating, makes a completely different model. So if you are one of those people with a big vision, or a non-profit type of vision, I actually really recommend you do learn this way of thinking, because and learn how to operate around money so that you're ready for that, because it's very exciting what's going to become possible in the next few years.
it is really exciting.
Yeah.
It's really exciting to think about people finally stop to create the consciousness around money that it isn't something we have to fight for or fight about, or there isn't some limit or lack to it, but actually
And
by
it doesn't
working.
all come through it's not all about the government and what the government does or doesn't do.
Right.
We're not going to leave it to the government to get it right or wrong, because that's a very limited model.
No, it's about us circulating it for good.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been so fun to have you on, and I'm really grateful that you took the time with us. And I know that my life has changed from working with you, and I want that for everyone.
Thank you, Joan. I also should mention that the first Q&A session is in the first week of December. So if you want to join this, you need to sign up during November, basically. And maybe we can do a bit of communication around that, Joan, to share those deadlines. We can figure out how to do that, just to remind people that if you want to join, if you want to be part of, you can join anytime, but if you want to be part of the special study group with me, and I think, Joan, you'll be there too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That would be the best way to do it. So you need to sign up by the end of November for that.
Okay. All right.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. She's turning it off over there. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye then.
Bye.